Okay, so we're ready for 105 video 34. This one is going to be about polynomials still, but it's going to be called zeros of the polynomial. Right? This is still 3.2, and it has to do with homework number 12. Okay, so let's put up the title. Zeros, or some books might not have the E. They'll just put zeros without the E of a polynomial function. Okay, here we go. Problem number one. We're going to start off something that hopefully looks familiar. What if the function looks like this? F of x, and we're starting off slow, gets a little bit more complicated than this, is equal to x plus 2 times x minus 1. And this really is a quadratic equation. It's not really a complicated polynomial function. Okay, we always said that you could change this into y. You can or you don't. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to leave it alone. Well, the main point over here is what you need to do on scrap paper. Immediately, what you need to do is change the x plus 2, not change it, keep it, and set it up equal to 0. It's as if we made this into 0, but I'm putting it on the right-hand side. I don't want it on the left. I want it on the right-hand side. Okay, you've seen this before, I believe. Solving quadratic equations with factoring. We set up the T formation, x plus 2 equals 0 on the right, x minus 1 equals 0 on the left, minus 2 on both sides, x equals negative 2, plus 1 on both sides, x equals 1. And here we have our answer. Here's our answer. What are the question was, I should have put up the question, what are the zeros? What, or find the zeros of the function. The zeros of the function. I'm leaving out the E. That's the question. Okay, the answer is the zeros are negative 2 and 1. Negative 2 and 1. There's the answer. Those are the zeros. Here are the zeros. Right here. Zeros. These are the two zeros. Here is our answer. Problem over. Okay, same question. Number 2. Find the zeros. Here it is. F of x. Here's the polynomial. It's more complicated now. F of x is equal to x cubed plus x squared minus 9x, x squared minus 9x minus 9. Okay, our life is a little harder. We got 4 terms. Factor by grouping is going to help us. You see 4 terms many times. We're talking about factor by grouping. Let's go to the left. Get our parentheses open. And what's common between x cubed and x squared? The lowest of the two, x squared. X cubed divided by x squared is x. X squared divided by x squared is positive 1. Let's write positive 1 right over here on the right-hand side. Parentheses. What number multiplying x plus 1 will get us back to this? Minus 9x minus 9. Answer, minus 9. Minus 9 times x, minus 9x. Minus 9 times 1, minus 9. So we've got it factored. Set up x squared minus 9 in its own factor. Set up x plus 1, just one copy of x plus 1 in its own factor. There's 2 copies, so just do 1. And it's almost factored. But notice we can factor this. Perfect square, minus in between, difference between two perfect squares. We learned about this. This turns into square root of x squared is x. Square root of 9 is 3. Put 1 with a plus, put 1 with a minus. And that's factored. Okay, let me get more of this paper. Set the whole thing up equal to 0, either on the right or on the left, but set it up equal to 0. What does that mean? That means x plus 3 is equal to 0. X plus 3 is equal to 0. Minus 3 on both sides. And we get x is equal to negative 3. X is equal to negative 3. That's one of them. X minus 3 is equal to 0 will turn out to be x equals 3. X plus 1 is equal to 0 will turn out to x equals negative 1. Each time is the opposite. This 3 turns into negative 3, negative 3 turns into 3, plus 1 turns into negative 1. Answer. The zeros are negative 3, negative 3, 3, and negative 1. Problem over. Okay, let's go to problem number 3. Problem number 3. Problem number 3, start out right over here. Find the zeros. What's the polynomial? F of x is equal to negative x cubed plus 8x squared minus 16x. We can factor. We can get the GCF. There's an x here, there's an x here, and there's an x here. Let's bring it outside of the parentheses. X is the lowest. Bring it outside of the parentheses. What is minus x cubed divided by x? It's going to be minus x squared. What is what does, as a matter of fact, don't bring the x out. Bring negative x out. I'm sorry. Bring negative x out. Bring negative x out outside of the parentheses. What's negative x cubed divided by negative x? It's going to be x squared. X squared. What's 8x squared divided by negative x? It's going to be minus 8x. And what's minus 16x divided by negative x? It's going to be positive 16. Now notice again, here's a perfect square trinomial. X squared, that's supposed to be an x squared. It's supposed to be an x squared. X squared minus 8x plus 16, we can easily factor into two pieces. This will turn, the square root of x squared is x, because this is a perfect square, this is a perfect square, and the square root of x squared is x, square root of 16 is 4, 2 times 4x is, negative 2 times 4x is negative 8x, it's a perfect square trinomial. Square root of x squared is x, square root of 16 is 4. Put 2 copies, x and 4. What do I put in between? A minus. Okay, we still got to get the zeros of the trinomial. Make this equal to 0. So that means minus x equals 0. If minus x equals 0, then x equals 0. All right, what about x minus 4 is equal to 0? That means x equals 4. Here's the 2 zeros. You don't do a repeat. No repeats. No repeats. No repeats. So, the answer, the zeros are 0 and 4. Problem over.